Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Today we're talking about office update and forecast for 2017. Look, one of the most important things about the office market are the tenants, right? The companies occupying the space and their employees. How well are they doing? So let's take a look at that. Please welcome my next guest, Francina Price. She's president of Global Planning and Programming with Champions IFM. And Francina, thanks for joining us here in Studio One.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
Well, you help companies with their space design and with their furniture and with how it looks and how it works. So I think it's so important today. So the first question I want to ask you is, what are some of the challenges you get when people are in this process? What are the challenges and some of when people are looking to change their office space?
Generally, I look to see if they have a change management plan. Most of the time, tenants or customers are looking to make changes, but they don't know what's driving the change.
Now, how do I know I need a change management plan?
You do need a change management plan, and part of that is trying to understand what it is that the employees need, more so than where the business is simply going. And so the change management, what it does is it invites the users into the process of developing this new awesome facility. It makes sure that their needs are being met. It makes sure the functionality and opportunities for efficiency, probably ways that things weren't working so well, you can kind of figure out the hot spots, and it puts people in seats that can actually address those issues because they're on the front line actually doing this work. What I've seen from being a facility director in my past is we would make changes based on the executive leader's direction. And we would make those changes and design these wonderful spaces, but we didn't really hear what the people in all the various departments really needed to make their jobs better.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if I run a company and I'm looking at my space needs, what kind of team do I need to put together?
I would say that every department in your company needs to be a part of that team. Now, of course, there are multiple levels of the team. You have the stakeholder, right? That would be the more executive level, but you also have the daily users of the space. So if you have 7 departments, there should be representation on that team, that sub-planning team, from all those departments. Your HR department needs to be definitely included because we need to talk about people and culture. So we need to understand what the culture of your company is, what types of changes you're making. Are you considering any recruiting things like talent, the millennials, all of these other things that are important that we sometimes skip over when we talk about structure, a physical structure. So the soft part of the process, the people, the touches, the culture, what's really driving your change? It's not that I have more head count and I just need a bigger space, but if we get a bigger space, could we change our culture? Do we really need this much footprint to do the work we need to do, or can we remote work? Can we change up people's work-life balance a little bit? So when you get into those discussions and you hear from the people doing the work, then you get a different dynamic for your facility and may be able to save some money too.
Yeah, and I like how you called it sub-planning, right?
Yes.
So if you've got a lease renewal coming up, a decision, and maybe you have to give a year's notice before the lease is up, so you might be contacting a tenant rep like me a year, or depending on the size, maybe 2 years ahead, but they really need to start with your process to do the sub-planning, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that really helps me understand. If I go out, most of the time when I'm working on a project, there's a lack of planning. There's a lack of anticipation because most people don't realize you need at least 18 months into this. Most of the time they show up at 6 to 9 months and they want to be in the space. Well,
right.
I haven't really considered the people that work here if I've done that. I've just kind of looked at a bottom line. I have a cost per square foot that I want to pay. I want to reuse my furniture. It's all these hard things, right? But the biggest asset that you have is your people. And so you really want to integrate a change management process a year in advance saying, hey, what is it that we're changing into?
Right.
Why are we making this facility change? And
Right.
look at it more from people than you do just physical structure.
And what are you seeing, Francina, about the companies who are trying to squeeze more people into less space. We see that people we're getting more employees per square foot, and how is that impacting the use and the way these companies are operating?
Well, I've actually worked on some of those projects, and so there's mixed feelings about it. I think when it's executed well, because you have a change management process where you've considered what part of your population could be more remote working, you've considered how many can work in an open work plan without it being a confidentiality issue or a privacy issue or a legal issue. So when you go through and you really assess the work that you're doing or where it is that you want your company to go, then you can make a better decision. And so it's not that the open plan, less square footage per person, is a bad idea. You just have to do the due diligence to determine if it's a good fit for your organization and where you're trying to go. So again, you got to talk to your people.
Yeah, that's good advice, and do that planning early. What are you hearing from companies about wellness, and how important is wellness to these companies and the people who own the buildings?
It's major for a lot of these companies. Again, they're attracting healthier audiences, right? There's a different person out there, an employee that's out there. The younger people want more work-life balance. Some of the older people are saying, hey, I at least need to get up from my desk every so often and work. And so a lot of companies that I'm working with are building small wellness. Now, they consider wellness gyms. They consider wellness prayer and meditation rooms or quiet rooms, making sure that there are mothers' rooms where women who are having families, there's an opportunity for them to have privacy and space to do the things that mothers need to do while they're taking care of their infants. And so wellness as a whole, it's about health. And so if my employee is healthy overall, mind, body, and soul, then I get a better product out of them. Again, it still goes back to the people, and you can't really have a great real estate plan if you're not really talking to the real estate, right? The royal part of it, which is the people.
Right, and I think that's a good tip if you own a building or manage an office building, to kind of look at the wellness factors in your building.
Yes.
So that you can emphasize that with tenants and in your leasing process.
And it needs to be attractive, and it needs to be current, and it needs to be up to date, because I've had situations where they have a facility, but it's stale, it's not current, they're not keeping up, they don't have a refresh program. So I would suggest to building owners, create a refresh program for all your amenities. Don't have equipment that's outdated or equipment that's not properly working. Have a diagnostics program where you're getting this equipment maintained and checked up, and make sure there's a good safe place for people to work out after hours. There's a nice security on that facility. Cameras are there, of course. So sometimes people don't feel safe in buildings. And when I go out with tenants and they're looking for space, because a lot of times I'm on the front end of the project, because I have a facilities management background as well, I'm always looking for safety measures too, right? I want to see, do you have on-site security? Where are the cameras posted? Is there a guard in the facility? How often does your security team roam the parking lot? Because people don't work traditional hours anymore, right?
Yeah, right. That's true. That's
so
true.
So you need to be safe.
All right, and I want to have you back in, and let's do another segment on go over some examples of some projects in Atlanta. Before we do that, for our national show audience, what is a closing tip that you would give companies who, when they're looking at their space needs?
I would say the most important thing for you to be concerned about is make sure that space can grow with you for all the different things that you see yourself strategizing as a business. Don't get into a space that fits today, but it's really not going to fit tomorrow. So your proper planning on the front end, take the time, make the investment, plan on the front end, and it's a good investment. It's just like with your money, right? You need a money plan, you need a real estate plan.
Right.
And so I would just say plan, do better planning, and then it's a good investment for you long term.
Right. That's an excellent tip, and a tip I would give is just start earlier. Start a lot earlier than you think you should. Francina, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, stay tuned. We'll have more on the U.S. office market forecasts and strategies. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. Hey there, thanks for checking out the Commercial Real Estate Show. Don't miss a video of special interest to you. Be sure to subscribe below. And if you appreciate the videos, be sure and thank our sponsors. There's a link to more information about them in the description. For more videos, podcasts, and articles, check out CREshow.com.